What's the worst thing you've seen happen at a party? A drunk guy jumped off the 3rd floor balcony aiming for a nearby tree. He did well enough not to kill himself, but he broke quite a few bones and cut himself pretty bad falling through the tree. He spent the next couple months in the hospital. My friend was shot and killed through his front door after asking people he didn't know to leave. He was locking the door after an argument to get them to leave. Buddy and his so got into it, so he decided to drink as heavily as possible cause in his mind they were over forever. Got so hammered that he thought suicide was the only option. So he walked out and flung himself off the 2nd story balcony when nobody was looking. We all realized he was missing about a half hour later, so we took off to search. We found him after about 4 hours. He had crawled on a broken humerus and 3 cracked ribs out into the middle of an empty lot next to the complex too. In his delirious, still drunk. Dehydrated as hell, words die alone like a wounded baby antelope on the Serengeti, we carried him back to car and took him to a hospital where he was treated for the arm, ribs, dehydration, and severe alcohol poisoning. He remembered none of it. Turns out his so and him had argued only about what time they should go home. She only wanted to stay until 12 or so and he wanted to stay as long as humanly possible. So she just took off. Wasn't even really a fight. This kid I knew in high school, Dave, got into a fist fight with a friend and beat him, so his friend ran upstairs, grabbed his dad's pistol whipped Dave with it, and then pointed at Dave's head, all while Dave was saying, "Bet you won't do it. PSSY. That was not a fun night." Edit. No. Wow, Dave is hard as FCK. Apparently I was too young to remember this, but my parents told me about the time they had a party and I came out of my room and proceeded to serve glasses of cool, delicious water to the guests. After a while someone thought to ask where I was getting the water. You guessed it. The toilet. I did not guess that. Some kid OD'd on coke. People refused to call the cops because there were drugs at the party. I only arrived about 15 minutes prior, as I was the designated driver. So I saw the tail end of it all. Kid was DOA as the ambulance pulled up. In a few states there are laws that make the caller immune in that case. It allows you to present yourself on behalf of a person in trouble and not face the consequences of the law, since it was for the betterment of another person. This is usually used in underage drinking, but it can work with drug cases as well. We were taking care of a freshman girl who had had too much to drink, as so many do, on the first week of the semester. We took her to the bathroom and waited patiently outside. Door cracked and a CC couple of friends of hers posted outside top keep her privacy and listen for vomiting. After a few minutes, it's gotten quiet. Then we hear a small and dull clunk sound. And after a moment, water rushes out into the hallway. She fell asleep standing and fell, slamming her head into the open toilet, smashing it into 2 pieces. Remarkably, she was completely unhurt. She's a graduate now and sings with stunning beauty. Was that a gift the porcelain throne bestowed upon her? Drunk people filled a beer bottle with a cleaning liquid and handed it to an even drunker person, who drank it. Luckily it wasn't bleach based, but he was not well. Christ. That's how people die. Saw a dude get stabbed in the kidney at a party. No one was really paying that much attention, and he was so drunk he appeared to just shrug it off. We left after that. Walked by the house 20 or 30 minutes. Later there were paramedics in the front lawn. Dude was dead. He'd been bleeding internally. Everyone thought he was just drunk when he fell over. Almost no blood on his shirt. It was surreal. Beer can nearly full of chew spit. Dude on acid. He pounded the whole thing. Threw the can down. Let out a primal scream and did not vomit. Others did. I'm done. Walked in to see a girl doing lines of coke off of a stairwell. Then she went limp and everyone started freaking out until she jumped up with a bloody nose and yelled, "I'm okay bitches." Then she passed out again and we called an ambulance. Fantastic night. Edit. It was totally coke, guys. But then she cut the brakes on the ambulance. Wildcard bitches. My friend's ex-girlfriend walking around stark naked, begging people to bone her. Passed out, naked, in the bathroom and crapped all over the floor. Fellas, I was not impressed. I saw a man tea into a kettle. Was closing down a party a few years back. Noticed a young woman wandering through all the rooms and back again. Then watched her go through the living room. She picked up each and every empty beer can and poured it into her glass. Some of them only had drops left. Others had a few swallows. While I was still trying to process what I was seeing, she noticed me noticing her. Furrowed her brow. And with a slight tilt of her head stated, "Don't judge me," and continued on her journey. My friend calls that bear eating the wounded. Ex-girlfriend's birthday party. Some drunk FK got left by his friends and started causing trouble. Hitting on people. Drinking more. Just not giving a shit. Started to get freaked out by people wanting him to leave. Twice he tried to jump off the balcony of the house and plummet 15 feet to a rocky death. First attempt we wrestle him to the ground and he naps for a second. The next second he f-king jumps up and leaps for the edge. One dude on his left grabs him by the waist. I get my arm in a headlock and we bring him to the ground. I hit my friend's leg and tell them to call 911. We get him up and out of the house and people start walking down the street. 4 cops come to the door. 2 take off looking for him, while the other 2 survey what had happened. They were nice enough to make a comment about the shitty beer we were drinking. Thank you. Multnomah County Sheriff. FCKU hands. After reading about 100 of these stories, I have to ask. Am I the only person who takes a shitty before leaving for a party? If you shitty in a toilet and don't pay anybody, you are apparently in the top tier of party guests. Someone took a shitty right on the bathroom floor. Drunk girl heads to the bathroom without looking. Slips and literally eats shitty. Someone took a shitty in the kitchen sink. It was towards the end of the party, which was a house party when I was in my second year at university. Everyone was winding down and finding somewhere to crash for the night. And I came down from my room and into the kitchen to do something I can't remember now. The bathroom was occupied by someone probably throwing up, whatever it was. They'd been in there for a while, and I guess he couldn't hold on. I opened the kitchen door and he's squatting with one foot on the draining board and the other on the counter on the other side. And he just looks at me and I look at him and his eyes widen and I just slam the door and go back to my room and try and drink the memories away. It didn't work. Every time I turn a light on in a kitchen I expect to see that stare hovering at me from over the sink. Edit. Whoa. I first gold on a comment about someone shitting in a sink. Couldn't be more perfect. Thank you for making this trauma partially worth it. My sister hosted a party and someone shitty on top of one of the blades of the ceiling fan. You can guess how we discovered it was there. As bad as I feel for you guys. Props to whomever was capable of skillfully shitting on a fan blade. A girl was so drunk she pulled down her pants in the kitchen. Squatted down and pooped on the floor. She pulled up her pants, put paper towel over her poop and continued to party. I really hope she isn't on Reddit. Someone chewing a bite of hamburger and his friend opening wide while the chewer spit the chewed bite into his mouth. Pretty sure second dude swallowed. They did things like that. Was it raw hamburger? The turgidity of my erection depends on your answer. I thought I had something to share, but after reading these comments, I am a fairly normal drunk. My ex-husband once opened a can of Alpo dog food, put it on a plate and mashed it up into a ball. He added some crackers to the plate and fed it to the other partygoers. Me ex-husband. Are you a pirate? Buddy of mine got really drunk one time. He took some intimate rock pills. He told me his plan was to run around to all the girls to see if they like what they see. He tripped on his own foot and broke his dick when he fell on a coffee table. At a birthday party for a 4-year-old in my neighborhood, We, the parents and I, caught the clown masturbating in the kid's bedroom holding a picture of the mom. Edit. My top comment is about a masturbating clown. Thanks Reddit. Not sure if I should feel bad. But this made me legitimately laugh. I just imagine a F-King clown crouching in a corner next to a racing car bed making wacky clown noises. No people showed up. This happened to a friend of mine. She had her daughter's birthday party at the local park. Set up tables of homemade treats. Balloons everywhere. Games for the kids to play. Not one single person showed up. It was brutal because everyone at the park kept walking by to see what was going on. Her daughter was young enough to not really get what happened. Nice woman and husband. Nice kid. Not sure why no one showed. But this is why you don't send out invites with regrets only and then don't follow up. The bonus for me is that she's damn near a gourmet cook and brought some of the treats to my office. 3 of my friends get it on with one chick in the living room when everyone was leaving. Me. WFT are you guys doing? Huh? Join in. Me. No thanks. Left home. Edit. In retrospect. I should have stayed and FK'd her armpit. No point. All the holes were filled. A drunk police officer getting in his car to run the siren for us. Then driving a few parking spots over. Are you from Superbird? 1. A drunk guy sucking his own dick. 2. A friend of mine went outside to throw up and puked on the host's German Shepherd. The dog ate the whole thing. Edit. Just to clarify. It all happened at 2 different parties. In high school I was at a party on a little island in a little lake. Someone lost their glasses. And thought it would be a brilliant idea to tip over a tiki torch to look for them. Well. All the fluid poured out and it caught some brush and a fire started. Even worse. They decided to run to the farthest side of the island to throw the tiki torch in the water. And everything behind them caught on fire as well. And they burned their back pretty badly. I was watching all of this from a boat. And it just looked like someone caught on fire. And was trying to run to the water. Everyone eventually jumped into the water. And swam to shore. The whole island was destroyed. The Far Cry effect. A big dude carrying one of our drunk girl buddies downstairs to put her to bed. She was barely conscious but visibly resisting. So we followed and got there just in time to stop him climbing on top of her. FCK that guy. Edit. To all the thank you comments. You're welcome. I'd kinda hope anybody would do this for their friend or even a stranger. The guy was obviously trying to take an almost passed out girl out of sight. She was obviously struggling. And about 5 of us had brought her to the party. No brainer to intervene. The guys really deserving of thanks are the one who stand up against a group that's trying to pull some shady tea. Someone threw a bucket and it nailed me right in the head. Blood is running all down my face and shirt. Some girl decides to help me out and take care of me. I spilled wine on a brand new shirt at a party. And when I asked go borrow a sweater to cover it up. The host said he didn't want me to stretch out the neck hole with my fat head. Then everyone laughed and agreed I had a fat head. Did you cry yourself to sleep that night? On your huge pillow? Told this story before. My friend decided to have a beach party for her birthday and when I got there with her BF and a bunch of other guys. She was already wasted. She enthusiastically greeted us. Then grabbed and started making out with the guy next to her BF. Well. It was kinda dark. She was drunk and didn't seem to notice she got the wrong guy so we were all just standing there awkwardly. Wondering. Holy shit. Did she grab the wrong guy? Her BF tried awkwardly tapping her shoulder to let her know she got the wrong guy. But she just waved him off. She got even more drunk later on and ran around naked. Her soon-to-be ex-boyfriend and I had to force her back into her clothes. I left early with him to take her back to my dorm. She came from a conservative Muslim family so she can't go home in that state, and it was the most awkward car ride ever. Being a social retardee who can't stand awkward silences. I had to make things worse by saying shti like, Well, your girlfriend has lovely boobs. This is lighter than most, but I saw a very drunk chick walking around chugging weak whiskey sour mix, without alcohol added, straight out of the bottle. One or two people tried to explain that it was just acid and sugar with no alcohol, but she just started screaming about how she needed to get drunk. And how she found it laying around fair and square. We let her keep going. I have been to parties with people from office which basically turned into work meetings. People start discussing about projects and all. Most of the people in that office can't relax and stop talking about work when the boss is around. That, in my experience, was the worst I have seen in a party. Nothing sobers you up like when people start discussing your work. Depressing. They had the wrong number of candles for the cake. Happy 5th birthday, Dad. Many shots into a party. A friend of mine, the homeowner, decided to break out the gem clear. Took some shots. It was terrible. Then he says, "You know, I think this would be better warm." He pours him in a spoon and gets a lighter out and holds it under the spoon. We are all drunk too and think it's hilarious. That is, until the spoonful of jet fuel ignites. And he drops it on his carpet. In his surprise, he also kicks the rest of the bottle over. I swear the place went up in minutes. Irony. It was a housewarming party. He just built the place. One time a friend of a friend was throwing a party. People asked her to bring out her ferret so they could pet it and whatnot. She brought the ferret out and put it on the floor to scurry around, but it just flopped about. All listless and uncoordinated. Apparently it was having a stroke. Put a big damper on the whole party. So we just chilled while she ran to the vet. I'm sure this will get buried. But I saw the drunk chick run a man train, FCK any and every guy that lined up, at a party. She went through 15 guys in about an hour and a half. We all knew what was going on. Most of us just stayed in the main house and watched guys wander up to the granny flat she was in. Second worst part of all was that her boyfriend arrived from work to find her getting railed by a rugby player. Poor kid just started crying and left. Worst part came later. Apparently she had herpes. The fallout was pretty epic. 8 or so guys got it. 2 of the guys' girlfriends got it, I assume on the same night from their boyfriends? I think the boyfriend dodged a bullet in the end. Edit. Thanks for the gold. Depopped my gold cherry. Frat party. Someone's dog f-king a girl while everyone watched. Edit. She got dumped. Was drunk. And the guy who dumped her was there and hit on her. Apparently, she'd rather FCK a dog before f-king him again and did just that. At least, that's how it was told to me by the lovely lady standing next to me watching this train wreck. There was a lot of drugs in the house. So I don't know for sure that alcohol was the only culprit. Asterisk. Go Cougs. Edit. Cougs as in WSU. 12 years ago. No idea what frat anymore. No pics. This was before smartphones were so smart. My poor inbox. Was the dog cute? They serve chicken. With Melo. I go to lame parties. Monocle falls out in shock. I saw a bloke at a local house party slip something into a girl's drink. It was sickening to see another human being trying to drug someone for their benefit. My buddy and I went over and tossed the drink out and threw the kid out of the party. We later talked to the girl and she was quite happy to realize that she wasn't drugged. Edit. Thanks for the gold, stranger, it's my first. Probably the wildest party I've ever been to. Girl is staying at her grandparents' house and they are out of town and she totally takes advantage by having a small party. Now here's error number 1. She advertised it on Facebook. Publicly. People started to click attend until there was literally 100 people attending. She'd made the event private at this stage, but it was too late. Word was out. The party went ahead anyway and I'd guess there was about 250 people inside and outside on the streets. It was quite tame at first until more and more people turned up. Off the top of my head there was a girl passed out on the host's bed spewing. with the host's clothes literally piled on top of her. And a chair. A hole had been created in the stove. Her laptop was in the sink. Dirty footprints all over the white sofas and on the walls. The best part. She was sitting absolutely smashed out of her mind playing the piano. Hilarious. It all ended when there was a fire outside which spread onto the next door neighbor's side and the fire brigade were called. No damage was done as folk put it out straight away. Good night.